First of all, let me wish all ladies happy Women's Day. Of course, there are many things said about the way in which this country treats its women, and I agree. There needs to be greater recognition of all women, of all strata of society, and I think we should all get together to improve the situation, get more women into the workforce, and get the maximum participation in this country's development. Today, a bunch of regulations were approved or is to be approved. I just want to mention some that we all work together on the port city. I would like to recognize CodeGen Innovations as the very first company to have registered at the Colombo Port City economic zone, which is creditable, and I congratulate Dr. Harsha Subasinghe and his entire team for having taken the bold step. Harsha and I had multiple conversations over the last so many years about the frustration that not just his company, but as spread out in where professionals work, the taxes, the high income taxes, that is something that a lot of companies that export services, software, were complaining. I asked him once, what is the starting salary of a software engineer? He said somewhere between $800 to $1,200 a year. So let's say a month. Let's say even if you start at $1,000, you add 350,000 rupees a month, and at 308,000, you're already hammered 36% at the highest marginal tax bracket. So instead of moving companies out, I think what people like CodeGen Innovation have shown is that there are ways within this country, within Sri Lanka's jurisdiction, that you can find alternate solutions. So I wish more entrepreneurs, business people would think about Port City as an alternate location for your headquarters to be established, so that whatever tax arbitrage that you can get legally, you could perhaps enjoy. What we need to really do is to create an economy that is adding more value than it is now, right? And when we talk about innovation, I heard many members of parliament speak here today talking about the lack of investments. I heard Honorable Dilu Mamunigama, who is in charge of the BOI and the port city, saying, look, we need to bring investors in and we need to make it easier for them to operate. That is true, but it doesn't just happen. Speaking in parliament doesn't mean that investors are going to come. You need to really look at the nuts and bolts. Where are the legal blocks? Where are the regulatory blocks? How are you going to change policy? See, one must realize, Mr. Chairman, that in the last, now this is 23, about 30 years or so, Sri Lanka has actually become a much closed economy than what it was. After Mr. Premadas's apparel factories program that had the momentum going up to about 1999, Sri Lanka's openness index was around 80, went up from about 40 before the first liberalization in 1977. How you measure openness, Mr. Chairman, is you add the imports and exports and divide it by gross national product. So that gives you an index number. So it needs to get higher and higher if you are more open. But what has happened since around 1999 is that this index from 80, actually 89, has fallen again to around 40. So as a measure, without any political prejudice, if you look at how open this country is, actually it is one of the closest countries in the world currently, because it is back to about 40. So you need to import and export. because that is the way that this country's long-term growth is going to, that it is going to depend upon how open we become. We have to open our minds, we have to open our borders, we have to break down the walls, build bridges, because otherwise we are never going to be able to get out of this balance of payments crisis. I heard Honorable Pathali Champika saying a little while ago that it is because imports have basically shrunk, and therefore that is the reason why there is a surplus in the trade account. He's absolutely right. And actually what is happening is, by forcing imports to be restricted by way of regulations, and also particularly by increasing interest rates so that you crush demand, what has happened is the economy has shrunk and it is continuing to shrink. And in a shrinking economy, companies are closing down, jobs are being lost, and unemployment is increasing. And if you can take a little sort of say, optimism that things have gotten a little better, and I'm not denying the fact things have gotten a little better, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this is a solution for the medium to long term. In order to create jobs in this country, Mr. Chairman, in order to increase exports, we also have to be able to open our imports. So closing imports and opening exports is not a realistic solution, because they're both the same coin, just two sides. So now today that the IMF agreement seems to be now pretty much done, with the statement from Kristalina Georgieva, we are pleased. We are happy for the people of Sri Lanka, because in fact I just noted down the dates. It was first on the 18th of November 2020, then on the 10th of December 2020, then on the 27th of February 2021, then on June 23rd of 21, September 21st of 21, and December 11th of 21, when we urged the then government to go to the IMF. They didn't, but that's another story. But if they did, probably they would still be in office, and probably their homes would still be standing, and this calamity would not have occurred. But that's bygone. I don't want to go there. But I'm glad that finally sense has prevailed, and currently we are trying to negotiate this extended fund facility. But I must warn you, Mr. Chairman, that this is only the first step. If we think that the problems are now all resolved and we can all bask in our glory, that is not going to be the case, because first is this hurdle. Next, the more important one is to get the debt restructuring done. And the debt restructuring is a complicated thing, and that is where all the reforms...
we have 2 minutes left.
Okay, all the reforms need to be undertaken. I heard the Honorable President say yesterday, look, we have to pay $6 billion a year in loans. We cannot pay it. If this deal falls through, then I am not responsible. You people will be, because I'm going to bring it to Parliament and get you to agree or disagree. So it's either my way or the highway. I disagree with the Honorable President. I tell him, no, sir, you shouldn't do it like that, because we don't know what is in that. It is the best option that I think is available to you, is to at least now table this document. Now that you got the agreement, table the document. And ideally, the place that this discussion should have taken place is at the Committee of Public Finance. I don't want to go into that. What has happened to that is not something I want to talk about today. But nevertheless, through the Committee of Public Finance, there must be a real robust debate. Questions must be asked. When we ask about tax revisions at the committee, that is not because we were anti-government. That is not because we were trying to sabotage this country's economy. That is because we are also elected members of Parliament representing thousands and millions of people. So it is their prerogative to ask these questions, and it is our responsibility on behalf of them to ask these questions. So therefore, don't take it the wrong way, but there must be a robust debate, because unless we are able to continue the reforms, this may not end up where we expect it to go. I will finish in a minute, Honorable Chairman. I just want to take one example of Zambia. When in July of last year, Kristalina Georgieva tweeted saying that, look, she was very happy and pleased that the Chinese have agreed on financial assurances, just like what she did today. But today, still, Zambia has not been able to crack the debt restructuring deal. That is because there hasn't been agreement as to what kind of restructure needs to happen. Because is there going to be a haircut? Or is there going to be a net present value reduction? Is there going to be some sort of reprofiling? This is not very easy. And also in the same breath, one must ask, what are the international sovereign bondholders asking? Are they asking about the domestic debt restructure or not? I mean, so these are complex questions that should not be take it or leave it. Honorable Shehan Semasinghe, much respected colleague of ours, is here, and I want to tell you, Shehan, don't do it like the way you are planning, perhaps take it or leave it, my way or the highway. No, let us at least now. You said, look, wait till we sign the agreement, and then we will have I'm finished. You can reply. Have a discussion. So I urge you to do that. We are for the people of this country. We are not trying to sabotage this. We are pleased that you are finally working out a program with the IMF. We did so. We told you so earlier. That's another matter. But let us work together to resolve all these matters on behalf of the people of Sri Lanka. Thank you very much.